Okay, today is Tuesday, December 15th, 2015. Here on the Rich Van Tassel channel, giving you our weekly NBA report. Starting, of course, in the Eastern Conference. It once again remains very competitive. Cleveland's had a few days off here. They're still at the top of the conference at 15 and 7. But again, teams 1 through 10 are only separated by 3 games. Now, it's expanded. Last week, it was only 5 games between teams 1 through 13. Up to now, it's up to 6.5, and it's beginning to swell a bit more. The margin is between the top teams 1 through 13, but certainly all the playoff teams 1 through 8, which is the Orlando Magic at 8 at 13 and 11, are only 3 games back. The Boston Celtics, who have been playing very well, are in 7th, but are only 2 games back. And Chicago, who was struggling last week, is now on a 3 game winning streak. There are a lot of questions about Fred Hoiberg, the coach, and all that. They are on a 3 game winning streak and all the way back up to number 2 in the conference. So all you have to do is string together a few wins in a row, and you should be all right. Charlotte has come back down a little bit. They had lost the game, so they're now down to 4th. Toronto continues to play well, consistent. They've only been 6 and 4 in their last 10, though, so they're hanging in there. Boston Celtics, got to give them a lot of credit last week. They beat Chicago, who is on a 3 game winning streak, up to number 2 in the conference. They lost the double overtime game to the Golden State Warriors. We'll get into the Warriors in just a bit. But then came back the next night, went to Charlotte, and beat the Charlotte Hornets, who were above them in the standing. So I'd say they probably had the most impressive week of any of the teams in the Eastern Conference. You could certainly look at Chicago as well, who won 3 straight, but they also did not have to play Golden State, and the Celtics did beat them. Orlando continues to hover around. Atlanta is on a bit of a fall here. They're 4 and 6 in their last 10. They're at 14 and 12, tied with Orlando and Detroit, 3 team tie basically for spots 8 through 10. Their differentials dropped into the negative though at 1/10 of a point. So Atlanta got off to a hot start. They've really been struggling a bit. Injuries have affected that team. All right, on to the Western Conference. The Golden State Warriors, of course, lost their first game to the Milwaukee Bucks on Saturday night. They were softened up a bit by the Celtics playing double overtime the night before. However, was that the main reason they lost? Because the Celtics went and won the next game. Now, granted, the Celtics also played a team who was on the second night of a back-to-back. However, they were the home team, Charlotte was, and they did not play a double overtime game the night before. So give the Celtics credit. Golden State, I don't know. Maybe they just weren't really necessarily tired, just thought they could walk over Milwaukee. Maybe they just didn't necessarily care that much about the streak anymore. But they lost their first game, but they're still right there, cruising along. It's going to be interesting to see if they can still get to 70 wins. It should not be too difficult when you really look at it. They would have to go 46 and 9. That's certainly very obtainable. I just want to see how this one loss is going to affect them if they can respond and get on another streak. Obviously, I wouldn't expect them to go on another 24 game streak or 28 dating back to last season. But, if they can come and get 5 out of 6 here, or, maybe win 4, lose 1, win 3, lose 1, win another 4, lose 1, something like that, that would really determine whether or not they can get to 70 wins. If they, over these next couple games, say, over the next 15 games, go something like 11 and 4, then it may be difficult for them to get there. Or the next 25, they go, 14 and 11 or something. That would obviously eliminate them. But if they come back and they, start to sputter for a bit before they then pick it up for the last legs of the season, because we're entering that point right when the new year starts. The new year is till about February is really like the dog days, they would say, of the basketball season, so that would affect them. San Antonio, after their loss, they're up to 21 and 5, still cruising right along, 8 and 10 in their last 10. Oklahoma City playing very well at 16 and 8. They are also 8 and 2 in their last 10. Their differential is up to 7 points per game, so they're certainly shooting up the ranks there. Memphis continues to try to get itself established, as well as Houston now coming along. Houston did lose last night, I believe it was. Yeah, they lost to Denver last night. They are now dropped to 12 and 13 in the 7th spot. But I'd like to see Houston, have like a 30 or 25 game run where they only lose maybe about 6 or 7 games. That's what they're going to need to really establish themselves and get themselves going up the top of the list. But again, we discussed it. Houston at 12 and 13, Utah at 10 and 13. They're 7 and 8 in the Western Conference playoff picture as of now. Now, yes, it's still early, but that's usually the Eastern Conference that goes that way. You look at the other teams: Phoenix 11 and 5, Portland 11 and 5, right behind them. It's going to be very interesting to see if they're going to have a team that's under 500 make the playoffs this year in the Western Conference. That's usually how it works with the East. Clippers quietly have also gone 8-2 over their last 10. They're up to 15-10. Mavericks continue to hold themselves in the number fifth spot, so you got to give Dirk Nowitzki a lot of credit. He's on potential for a 50-40-90 again this season, which would be a very nice feat at this stage of his career. I didn't expect Dallas to make the playoffs, but they're still cruising right along at the fifth spot. Still a lot of season to go, though. We're just a little bit over the quarter mark. And, of course, you got to then address the Philadelphia 76ers 1-25. When is the NBA going to do something about the tanking issue? They just rehired their coach. So, I mean, I can do nothing but laugh at that. The guy's just been terrible. And they signed him to an extension. So, are they doing it just to reward him for tanking all these games? I can't see any other reason why. Adam Silver really has to address that situation. I may have to do a video strictly on the tanking situation, though. And I'm sure I'll probably get to that at some point because it really needs to be addressed more than that. All right, on to power rankings. Number 1, of course, still the Golden State Warriors at 24-1. Number 2, the San Antonio Spurs. You have to have them. Number 3, Oklahoma City Thunder, who are playing very well. Their differential up to 7 points per game and 8-2 in their last 10. They're really coming right along. Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant are really working together. Number 4, Cleveland. Cleveland is not necessarily playing poorly. They haven't played in about 3 days, though, so where other teams could build up some wins, establish themselves, and build up the record above Cleveland. That's where Cleveland drops off to number 4. And number 5, the Boston Celtics. Celtics are only 7th in their conference. However, we discussed the wins they had last week, playing very well against Golden State. And again, they're only 2 games back of the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the Celtics are also 13-7 in their last 20 games, which is very well 7-3 in their last 10. And of course, they beat Chicago, who's just 1 game ahead of them in the standings, and they beat Charlotte, who's only a half game ahead of them in the standings. So outside of Toronto, who they haven't played, the teams that are really ahead of them in the standings, they've been able to beat. So that's why I have the Celtics at number 5. All right, that's your weekly NBA report for December 15th, 2015. We will be back next week with the NBA report again. Of course, we will be coming back Thursday to give you a breakdown of the Thursday night football game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the St. Louis Rams, and any flash alerts that come across in the meantime. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your week.